play in a lower level, in a regional competition, in juniors or wherever, it is also exactly the same. Yeah. I saw among the attendees a couple of friends of mine from Argentina who have been living together when I started to coach, and most probably they can tell how many hours I used to spend watching not only videos, because at that time in the 90s was not so easy to have videos, but important how to get to know where you are in the competition and what the best teams are doing, and not just to be a follower, it's just to be a competitor, and a closer competitor every now and then, that you can really start to build up something that you can compete and you can beat these teams sooner than later. Often the budget is a topic, but I won't speak a lot about the budget, because since I'm abroad, I was never in the richest team, and I'm very proud to tell that most of the times I was among the poorest teams. So then for me, budget is not an issue. Of course, it's important because the players normally get something, or when you are in juniors or in different kind of competitions, it is important to have somehow a budget to allow you to develop the program. Yeah. I think it is important also for me to establish kind of targets or goals that, of course, when we play with good teams, we don't speak about targets so much, because we know everybody has to be healthy at the playoffs time, and we need to be, let's say, oiled and running, the machine running good, in order that at the money time, the team is playing good or is playing at the best, and we can perform at the playoff times or at the finals. And then it's also important to know the strengths and the weaknesses every club or every program may have. Yeah, because most probably we can help to strengthen the strongest points, and we can also help to develop the weakness points. And I think it is somehow, for me, clever to try, at least try, to make the weakest points better, or at least to know how to disguise these weaknesses in order that doesn't disturb you on the way. Yeah. Oh, in these years I've been abroad, beside the countries, I've been coaching almost 25 different nationalities. In these 25 nationalities, I had at the same time players from Russia, from Poland, from Soviet countries, players who are not speaking Russian anymore, because I had a player from Uzbekistan who was speaking Russian, but but his main language is Uzbekish. Players from Germany, players from France, players from Finland, and in many cases all together like a Babel tower. And I think it is very important, and I know that I will repeat this, very important all day long, how we can establish a common language. And the common language is the volleyball. Yeah. So as you may have heard previous speakers, this common language, I found the need on developing a system to work. So under this common language, under speaking volleyball as a main language, once we are crossing the doors of the gym, everybody is talking the same things in order that everybody gets understood each other, and kind of codes that a player from Congo who who doesn't speak any German, any English, any Spanish, only French, and a different French than French people, can understand what we are talking during the training and during the games, which is more important, sometimes with 5, 6, 7 people, 5, 6, 7,000 people, or playing a final game with 15,000 people. Yeah, and then this guy who came from Africa almost without shoes, being able to play and understand the game in front of 15,000 people, I think is such enjoyment that for me, I don't care if I didn't win the cup or if the team didn't win the cup, because the process to go there, it's an amazing journey. So, and yesterday we had a kind of a talk with some Argentinian colleagues, and at the end, Daniel Castellani asked, what are the things we must, or we believe as an individual thing, we cannot be lack of? And I said that the strength I feel I have, or the thing I cannot miss, is my optimism. I always believe that I can make the things better, and I can make the team better, or I can help the team to be better. So this forced me to make or to develop a system of working, a system of training. And once you develop a system, and once you create a system, or once you learn the system of somebody else, it doesn't matter, you, as a following step, you must create a method to develop this system. Yeah, and then we will go through all the kind of exercises and things that you may need to make better the players. I was talking about the enjoyment of the process. Yeah, the main target of the process is the success. Doesn't mean that it needs to be only the gold medal. Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that you can consider yourself as a coach, since a small mini volleyball group, when I started to coach mini volleyball, my club had 6 kids in total. Yeah, and we were at that moment in Santa Fe. The club used to be one of the biggest Argentinian clubs. But we were 6 mini volleyball, and I got the duty, and I thought that that cannot be possible. And in less than maybe 2 years, we were more than 120 kids. And what was more important was the amount of boys playing volleyball, not only girls, because you may know in Israelis, football, basketball, and maybe then the other team sports. In Argentina is football. All the tall guys, we are fighting against basketball as well, and then we have rugby also, who need, or is a sport which needs also big guys. And perhaps I forget something. So then the offer of sports for kids or for boys is also not so easy. And then we need to really work on the development on how to attract kids. And then I think this is also how you create a method to work and attract small boys or young boys. So I think that when every time I organize the team, thinking that I have to maximize the talent I get, I think it is very important on the recruitment point, how I will make the team with players, of course, highly motivated, because motivation has to be at the first order, because normally the clubs I was coaching have not a big possibility of paying a lot of money to the players. So we need to create in this system what we can offer the players to develop, to advance to the next level, which at the end means perhaps they won't get a lot of money in my team, but if they work good, they will get the reward at the next step. So, and in this process, the enjoy of this process means that we need for sure a kind of, to drive to the success, a kind of a technical improvement along every day, yeah? And once again, is how you organize the training, how you organize this process to organize the system. Of course, it's a big thing of physical improvement, which normally keeps the players committed and brings victories. When all this circle is working together, most probably, as a result, you will have success. And success with victories, and often can be winning championships, is a result. Yeah, but my big advice in general is that we cannot demand ourselves to win a championship if we don't organize and we don't respect a process. It can be a lucky punch, yeah? And I go back a little bit to the first season I was in Germany. The first season I was in Germany, I came to a team which was going down. We saved the team from the relegation, and then we organized the first full season I was coaching. And the season for us was a lot of success, or was a very successful season, because with perhaps one of the two lowest budgets, we finished 5th in the qualification before in the round robin, before the playoffs. And then we met in quarterfinals a team which was very rich, and we won the first game, and then we lost 2-1 the series, and we were out. And when we finished the series, it came a guy who was at that moment an agent, a player's agent, and he said to me, "Ruben, I have 2 offers of different clubs for you." And maybe I was stupid, but I told my friend Guido that I would never accept a different offer than the club which trusts me, that believe in me to start this story in Germany after a really small success, because could have been a lucky punch. And I was sure that I wanted to prove that was not a lucky punch. And along the years, we were able to organize something which confirmed every now and then the progression of the club. Up to now, guys, would you like to ask something? Tell me, eh? I'm very open and very happy to hear some things if you want. Otherwise, I follow.
מי שרוצה לשאול, שידבר.
To create a process, to create a system, to find a method, I think we need to be most of the times on a lateral thinking, because when you are lack of resources in general, you need to be very creative. How to find players. And I mentioned Maya Ula from Congo. Maya now is in the team of Itamar in Germany. And I think everybody knows Itamar, right? I hope so. And then I never close the doors to anything. and to anybody. I always accept videos and suggestions of everybody. I always accept suggestions of many different coaches, because in any kind of universe, sometimes you find out different solutions, and when you are eager to share these solutions, sometimes as a result you are giving me a solution that I was not thinking about. And every time when we think on the players development and teams development and clubs development, we need to be really open-minded to find and to think about solutions. Once again, our game as a team sport, as a ball sport, it is a kind of puzzle. Yeah, there are no 2 times in a row the same situation. So in our process of coaches, we need to create this kind of lateral thinking, because we don't know from where the solution comes. Yeah, and I know that I haven't been speaking about volleyball too much, but I'm speaking a lot of coaching, which is at the end, putting on the context, you will find out what you need to do to get results, to find the team, to make them improve and have success. I think this is also important when organizing the process, the setting strategies. Yeah, I think this is for me a kind of secret how you will organize the program and how you will somehow have the results after all. I think one point is that we need to set the strategies as the team or the organization needs, or the organizations ask you. And once again, often happens that coaches, we believe that we are very powerful or very clever, that we can go over the organizations. And one thing which normally I speak with the players every now and then is that everybody is replaceable. The only thing which is not replaceable is the team itself or the organization itself. So addressing this point strongly, I think that the possibility on setting with the management or with your colleague coaches how you will set up the strategies, I think it's one important point. How do we set up the strategies is also about the level, about where you are, about all the needs of the organization. And then I think it is also important to enjoy the process and to go to the successful point, setting kind of strategies in short, mid, and long term. And once again, especially when you are working in teams which are not the candidates to win championships, I think also setting short, mid, and long-term strategies or targets or goals also during the season help the players as individuals and the players as a team not to feel losers during the whole season, because you will be reaching step by step, the things must be reached. And players will understand when they reach the target and when they overreach the target. And they will also understand when the basic target is not reached. And of course, out of the frustration, they will understand why the process failed. because also when you run a process, you need to admit and you need to deal with errors and failures. Yeah, because this will make the process and the thing better. Out of this, I think for me, I consider making a team as an art. I would say one of my strengths is scouting and recruit players. And this I have, I just wonder because I don't know exactly how it is. But out of this innovation, maybe I'm not innovative at all, I think Israel can be very interesting to scout players and recruit players out of Israel inside the all Jewish communities all over the world. Most probably you do it already. Yeah, this is a thing I don't know. But normally, as I remember players from Náutico Acoa who were coming from Argentina to Israel, I think they were playing as local players, or as domestic players. And these guys, it perhaps widens your bones a lot. And as I told you before, most of my ideas are not coming from my brain, are coming from somebody else who wrote this, who experienced this before. And for example, Luxembourg, which is a very small country, some years ago, they started to look after Luxembourgish people who were running out of Luxembourg some years ago, and they start to connect people like they were going out from Luxembourg to different countries, and they started to look after some kind of routes. And they found 2, 3, 4 players outside Luxembourg, and when they offered them to play for the national team, they were very happy because sometimes they were not having national teams in their own countries, or they were not at the level of playing in the national team of Argentina, for example. And then a guy from Argentina played for Luxembourg because his grandfather was Luxembourgish. So I think the first point of scouting and players recruitment is the talent identification. Of course, talking about medium to high level, I would suggest when you are going to recruit players for teams competing in professional leagues, we should find parameters. A middle blocker of 205, an outsiders around 95 up, opposite from 2 meters over, with certain marks of jumping, with certain kind of physical conditions. And this talent identification, for these reasons, is important. How we identify the talent, I would say it's 99% of networking. We have to be very active on talking with people, exchanging, asking, and the period of the time I do this is limitless. Since I wake up until I go to sleep, I'm every now and then watching players from all over the world. And because many players know that I like this, many times happens that people start to contact you directly. Yeah, and it is not painful at all to be polite and say, yes, I will watch your video. Because at the end of the day, can be a big hit and helps a lot. On the talent identification, when I said how, I think I already spoke about the parameters of international level, especially when you are hiring players or when you are recruiting players. I also have this kind of benchmark or norm that for me it's extremely important, since I cannot pay a lot of money to the players who have the gap of improvement, because experience costs money, unless you want to waste money on old players who perhaps are not so motivated to learn or to improve anymore. That's most of the times why my teams are young age teams. But I divide the players in two kinds of players. Do you know which are the two kinds of players? I need one of two of you or many of you answer me this question. Which are the two types of players?
The one with the most motivated player.
Okay, good.
The
And how
second
you
should
divide?
be the more talented player.
Yes.
The ones that are willing to work hard.
Good. It's everything about motivation. That's fine. It's very good, and I totally agree. But there are two kinds of players who are good players and bad players. When we make this line, it doesn't matter the age. As you very good answer me, eager to work, motivated, this is not a line to judge the player, because I would say a player who is motivated, who is eager to work, most probably will be on the side of the good player. Yeah. I was very lucky to have a Japanese player who is now the captain of the national team. And before I got the Japanese player, like before I got the guy from Congo, I tried to learn a little bit about the mindset of how the countries are working, how the countries are functioning, because I like to do a lot of jokes. And sometimes you can make very bad jokes to people when you don't understand the mindset of every country. So, and as a former coach I have, he used to tell me it's better to be silent and perhaps pretend to be shy and not to open your mouth and confirm that you are stupid. So then I think you must be prepared, especially in this kind of international environments. And I think Israel, if I remember right from my Hebrew school and my community when I was growing, I think it is a very international country. Yeah, are people making Aliyah from all over the world. Yeah, we are all Jewish, but we are coming from different countries with different education, with different mindsets. And I think this is also very important to understand that what means talent or how the talent develops in Russia is different than how the talent develops in USA or in Brazil. And it's our job to learn to understand this. Yeah, and I think the Japanese people say that hard work kills the talent in one way. And I think that a talent who doesn't commit hard work, he doesn't commit to practice, to give this extra % every day, is not a talent. Perhaps he has some physical abilities, but it's not a talent. Most probably, or along the way, there are many guys reaching the high level without being the more gifted. And the gifted guys who are exploiting all these kind of things are Michael Jordan, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and these kind of guys who are unique. I think, as I said, the physical skills and the technical skills, of course, are very important at the moment. I work on the talent identification and following these international level parameters. And if I need to choose, the first thing I would choose is people beside how tall they are, people who jumps good, who can attack good, who can serve good. Because as I said, service and attack are the two situations where you can get points and where you can make points. Yeah, you don't make points out of the reception. You prevent the opponent to score points. You prevent points with the defense, and it's not so much because you make 2.7 in a really good level team, 2.9 in an extremely high level team, block points per set. So I think this is also important on the talent identification, players who have capabilities on developing on service and attack. This is related with the perspective and the future. Players who can score in attack and can serve, most probably along the years, they will develop the receiving skills when they are outside hitters. And there are many examples like that. Players like Christian Fromm from Germany, when he started to play, he was not a really high-level receiver. And even though he's not a high-level receiver, he's playing in the best leagues in the world. I had Adam White, who after went to Verona, to Tours, to Berlin. He was also not extremely high-level receiver, and he was, at the end, a very solid player. Martti Jukami, another Estonian guy who was playing with us. Joe Sander, who came from us to Perugia. So guys who were not really talented at their reception skills, but then they developed. I think the perspective and the future, guys, related with the parameters, I think the motivation, it's the main, as you said, guys. I think motivation moves everything and multiplies everything. Yeah, and perhaps this is also this energy you have to bring as a coach every day. Every day, you cannot be energyless because then the training is a bullshit. Yeah, and when you are also with the high motivation, most probably you will be authentic. You will be who you are. Yeah, and then I think one important to avoid errors, that I did a lot of errors since I started to coach under 14 to nowadays. I think the personality, because we don't have the organizational things to really get a big exam of the persons you get to the teams. I think it is important also how much you research on the personality of the players. And a really iconic basketball coach as Greg Popovich, he said in a conference some years ago something like, you can have an asshole in the team, but you have to be sure not to get two. And if you organize to have two, you have to beware on your work because you choose them, and then you have to work with them to control this situation because you are the responsible of making the team. And there are no excuses, and then you have to deal with the problem perhaps until you can get rid of one of them or something. Yeah. Also, dealing with strange or difficult personalities, I also say that having one difficult person is not a problem, because sometimes when you have an asshole in the team, everybody will put their finger on this, and even though it can help that everybody will follow, or everybody will know that, okay, he's maybe not so clever, but everybody will follow and everybody will accept like he is. When there are two, it's a problem. And I don't know if always is possible to make solutions. Then, how we develop the team, how we daily basis development of the team. I believe because the lack of experience of the players we have, I really believe on the first of all, the development of the individual. Yeah. We in preparation, and even though when I was coaching juniors, it's a thing I really love to do, is separating the team in small groups and doing kind of mentoring in 2-3 persons group to make the players improve, to take 2 or 3 players group some minutes before, some minutes after. Yeah. Again, there is not an excuse on the moment if we have the motivation and the players are motivated to organize this kind of peer-to-peer work. And also in this coronavirus situation we have right now, players can improve being alone at home, even though having bagger on the wall. Yeah. And I know it doesn't have the content of the reading, which is the most important, but at the end of the day, the player is touching the ball, which is important. So on this team development, individual work, I ask at the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, and after the season, I normally have individual meetings with the players where we discuss how to work together, which are the interests every player has, which is the interest every player on skills development, which are the context or the skills or the parts of the game they would like to improve. Because this is also a hook. When if a player comes to you and says, I want this season to improve my jump service, and you say, yes, we will work with you on the jump service improvement, you have him on the pocket. And for sure, all the other things you will propose, he will try. As well as I would suggest, you cannot go on 5 different things. Because remember, this is a process. We need to make the water boil, yeah? But if we put the fire so high, it can be that the water is gone and you don't have the player anymore. So in the individual performance process or in the individual development process, also we need to go one step at a time. We cannot make the players improve in 5 things at the same time because they cannot focus, especially on lower level or beginners level. Yeah. So we need to really be clever as a coaches where to put the stress on the players' development. Once we know where we are, we can start on this kind of working to change a behavior. And of course, changing a technique or improving a technique, which is affected for this big puzzle, for this not 2 times in a row, same situation, because the random of the game, I think we will have the situation where we need to help the players to understand that changing this behavior perhaps will drive them to make some errors, that it will be some downs before they go up. And this is also a process that we need to be close to the players, helping, telling them that errors are part of the acquisition of skills. Errors are part of the sport because it's a big thing. It's maybe sometimes a 30% of the points you get out of errors. And then errors makes you stronger or makes you better. Also, we need to know and we need to divide which kind of errors. When the players understand which are the errors, most probably they will understand how to make the corrections. And we will be able to help them how to make the corrections. Once we started, the third step would be, after the change of behavior, most probably it will link you to a performance improvement. And this, as a result, will be the total transformation of this player. That's why, of course, for me, it's easier for you to come whenever you want to visit some trainings. I've been along the way hosting a lot of coaches because I'm learning from the coaches I host. And I think that I'm very happy to tell that many times we get players who are value on 5, and at the end of the season, maybe they will be 7 or 8 in the range of 0 to 10. Yeah? And then, because the circumstances or the environment where I'm working, I'm very happy when the players can get to the next level. And I think also this is a big responsibility of the coach, not on hold players who can grow and impulse these players to go. Besides, it can be a loss for you. But if we are generous enough, most probably from one player who is leaving, 2 players will come. And once the word is spread, you will always have players who would like to share time with you, because I think you will help them to get better.
Rubén,
Gustavo,
yeah.
¿Cómo vamos, Gustavo?
Perfecto. We will give time now if you want to make questions. One option is to write in the chat. The other option is to speak with the student.
I think I have one or 2 more slides. Do I have time, Gustavo?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the team structure, and this is also a thing that we can really work, or you can really use this model in your daily basis. I think the team is the most important thing. And please stop me right now if I do a mistake. Gustavo, please tell me if I make an error or a big error. But when you have a really strong team, as a team, when we have players going to Sava, most probably you won't have any problem on replacing them. For sure, if a good player goes for a period of training camp with the army, I don't know if this is happening anymore, or I don't know exactly, but in these periods, I think it's our obligation of the coaches, make the players, all the players good, or raise the level of the players as high as possible. And that's why I put the team in the middle, because we cannot coach without players. And the players are our diamonds that we need to really take care. And I'm talking about this after having done a lot of errors, and a lot of times I did personal relation with players badly. And of course, as a 25 years coach, I think along these years, you make mistakes. I think this is also interesting how you develop the staff. And the staff, always I say that in professional clubs, of course, it's easy, or it's easier. But not all the clubs have the possibilities of hiring a lot of people. But for me as a head coach, it is also important to remark in the clubs, if we don't pay a lot to the players, we need to create this environment, this universe where the players can develop. And this is the first punch I give the management to organize a conditional trainer, to organize a scoutman, to organize an assistant coach. And sometimes are people that perhaps cannot come absolutely every day. They won't be the perfect persons. They are not perfect persons. But out of this, we can make a really strong team between the staff and with the management. When I told about the mini volleyball in Santa Fe, when we got from 120 to almost 200 kids, we needed people to organize every weekend to go somewhere else for the mini volleyball tournaments, to the mini volleyball camps. So then it's also a management. Perhaps was not a professional management, but we need parents to organize. And of course, in professional levels, when parents are involved, sometimes it's not so nice or not so easy for the coaches. Yeah, but people who can give their time to organize the teams or the clubs are always needed, always helpful. Again, the medical staff is the same. Perhaps you don't have a full-time rehab center, a full-time doctor, a full-time osteopath, a full-time dentist, but when you think these topics are important, you will pay attention in order that the players get before the season all these exams to prevent at the end of the day performance problems. Because a player who has a caries most probably will have a problem with the muscles during the season. Or a player who has different problems with the vision most probably will have big troubles with the reception. And sometimes going to the eye doctor before the season and changing the lenses can prevent or can help improvement or can prevent bad performance. And the last thing is the supporters. And why I integrate this to the team? Because when we talk about international communities or international teams, it is a great thing to count with people who can call a player after a good game or after a bad defeat to invite them home for a coffee, to invite them for New Year evening, or to give this kind of family support that the players don't have, because when we are working abroad, we are far away. Yeah, actually right now my family is in Argentina. And I don't know when I go. And then when you have some support of some fans or some people from the management, everybody gets warm and everybody somehow gets well cared. And a player who is well cared mentally would be eager to give back, and a player who is well cared by the clubs for sure will be with a high motivation. And remember, guys, we need the motivation as the mother of the things. And most probably you have seen this also. I will show 6 rules for me, which are extremely important on developing the training and everything. Yeah. And it's a kind of continuation what you have been talking also with Daniel last week. I think the first important part is the motivation. With motivation, you will work hard and also you will multiply the efforts. I think it is important when you organize the training process, the technical model. And I know we can see how Juan Torena serves, but I cannot ask my under 14 player to serve like Juan Torena or to be Juan Torena. But we need, using the picture of Juan Torena, to squeeze this boy to get the best version of Ronnie possible. And when you know where and how the big players and how the sport or where the sport goes, most probably you will help a junior player, a youth player, to develop into the right pattern. And you will most probably do things which are helpful every time into the training. I think respecting the game phases and the systems of playing. Yeah, I cannot ask the team to serve good if we don't play serve and reception. And always I tell that 60–70% of my trainings have serve and reception, because it's the thing which happens most of the times in the game, or it happens the most in the games. Yeah. The training methods. The random thing, the global thing, is the main thing. Yeah, I think everybody agrees. But nowadays, having not the possibility to play 1 against 1, if I have to be analytic and go into the wall to keep touching the ball, it is also valid. And also to get and to reach certain amount of repetitions to make clear this development, you need synthetic or analytic exercises to fix the individual skills. Perhaps the transfer which has directly related to the game is not 100% like the random method or the global method, but it helps. And I would say 7-3, 70–30%, yeah, 75–25, in lower levels 60–40, but I wouldn't do 50–50, or I wouldn't do the other way around, more analytic than random. And of course, I have certain rules during my trainings. Every time we are making individual trainings with the setters, they will have a player who passes. Yeah, because, and most of the times, not most, always the ball will come from the other side of the net, that the setter is able to read how the ball flies, where the ball comes from, reading all the time. Yeah. Do you know, or do you guess, which is the most important skill in volleyball? Which is for you the most important skill in volleyball?
For me, the most important is setter.
Setter, okay.
Reading the game.
What?
Reading the game.
Reading the game. I fully agree. Who was the answer? I didn't see.
You see?
No, give me the name.
Sagi.
Okay, Zagi. Yes, you know. Bravo. I think reading is the most important, guys. Everything comes from the eyes. And also that's why nowadays it's very easy to teach, because when I started to coach, I was a very bad player. I'm very proud telling this. I'm a very bad volleyball player. Yeah. So thanks God, I was blessed to study physical education teacher, and then I engaged and I was in love with volleyball. And luckily for volleyball, I coach more than I play. So then I think reading the game is the most important thing. And then I was not having the possibility of showing videos at the beginning of the 90s, like nowadays. Nowadays, we want to see how a player makes reception. We go to YouTube, we go to Data Volley, or we go to Volley Metrics, and you get tons of examples. The good ones and also the bad ones. But remember, guys, we need a lot of good inputs, because when we show the mistakes of the players, then we need to give more and more and more, multiply by 10 the good feedback to erase this bad picture. Then guys, we need to be specific. Yeah, everything has to be specific. The setters training, the ball has to come from the reception or from a pass. The attack has to be from a set. The reception has to come from a service. And time out with the service, I like to use the ball machine when I have it, because it gives some repetitions, but I don't practice 70% on the ball machine and 30% on the real game. It's the other way around. Yeah, it's just to fix, to make corrections. So we need to be specific. Because also, when we go on this supportive part of the training method, the synthetic or the analytic, you will get the numbers of repetitions that normally the game itself doesn't give you. And everybody in Israel, or most probably a lot of you, know also about basketball. And in my first club in Argentina, I share a lot with the basketball coaches, because we were sharing the gym. And many times you see the players coming and they start, even from my club or from my city is coming Carlos Delfino and Chapu Nocioni, who were part of the gold medal team of Argentinian in Athens. And you saw these guys, because Carlos Delfino, it's like a family friend. His father was our driver because his sisters were playing volleyball with us. Both played with the national team. And Carlitos was coming to the gym and playing and shooting from 2 meters, 3 meters, 5 meters, until he went to shoot 3 points. Hours. Repetitions. Yeah. And of course, this is not the most important, but not having a good mechanic, it doesn't give them the chance also to improve the skills. So guys, then I hope you enjoy as much as I did, and I will be very happy to get some questions, to share time with you guys and have some possibility to exchange something.
Ruben, do you have a question in the chat?
Okay. Okay. Here I have one which says, everybody reads. When you choose players to your team, what's more important to your talent or personality? If I can deal with the personality, of course, the talent count the most. But for example, last year we have a really, let's say, gifted guy from USA coming from a really good university program. The guy was, the first day he came, we test the jump. He was 358. And I said, Pepe, good. He said, no, this is not good. I said, well, if this is not good, it's a good starting point. And then when he was practicing, he reached 365. But he was not focused on the game. He wanted to play, to get the money, pay back the loan at UCLA, and at the end of the season, get married. A boy of 23 years old, you know? And then, luckily, at the end of the season, we were able to deal with him, and he performed, but he wasted half of the year, you know? And I was really patient with him. I had big discussions with the management because they wanted to kick him out. And I said to them many times, you know, guys, we need the player, because if we kick him out, we won't get another one. We are not as lucky as some other people, yeah, and we cannot often exchange players in the middle of the season. So then I always say, when it's raining lemons, we must make lemon juice. So then we have to deal with the personality. About the reception, I think it is very important. I'm training every day at the reception. But the thing I train the most is how we find solutions on this read program execution process, how we find solutions at the moment, the kind of reception you get. Yeah, because in mid to good level leagues, the percentage of good to perfect receptions is about 45%. If the percentage is better or higher, I would say the level of the service is not good. So then, more than half of the balls you get from reception, you will have balls in the 3 meters or worse. Then it's extremely important how we work with the setters, how we work with the attackers. Yeah? I don't understand, who are your partners or who are your bosses?
Jacob?
What do you
When
mean?
you start a new program, with who are you working? Who is how you develop the targets? When you come to a club or to a federation, what is the way you I don't
תגיד בעברית.
You
כן.
can, לדבר עברית, בבקשה.
תשאל אותו איך בעצם מי קובע את המטרות? האם המטרות זה רק פונקציה של כסף? כמה זמן נמשך פרויקט כזה? מי סוחר אותו בעצם? על סמך מה? איך הוא מגיע בעצם לעבוד במקומות שהוא מגיע אליהם?
Ok. ¿Quién te pone los objetivos en el club? Si sos vos, el club, ¿quién decide los objetivos? ¿Y quiénes son tus socios?
First of all, we are employees, guys. Yeah? The moment we think we are on top of the organization, this is our death certification. Yeah? And then I think we need to agree with the management of the club or to the management of the organization, because you cannot think yourself you are the boss. I'm an employee, always. And always, or always not, maybe always is too big to say, but I would try as much as possible to decide on players' matters, on team building concerns, always with people from the management, with the sports director, because I think it is big decisions and it has to be in agreement with the management of the club. You cannot be deciding by yourself. I like to have a big role, but it doesn't mean that I can decide myself.
Other questions? Okay. Ruben, do you want to say something else?
I would like, first of all, because I'm honored to see Ari Selinger here. That was my first volleyball book. I was reading every night before every weekend games I had at the beginning of my volleyball coaching career. Yeah, and for me, I'm speechless when he is attending my talk. And of course, I don't think I have the level to be sharing the time with him. I'm very happy and thank you very much, Ari.
Thank you.
Okay, we want to thank Ruben for the conference. We really enjoyed. Really enjoy of your conference. I want to say some things. I will send to you the questionnaire that Ruben sent to me. There is also his address, his email, that you can contact him. And for next week, we have on Sunday, Italian coach work with women. And on Thursday, we have the coach from Dutch team that's also Italian. Okay.
Which coach? Robbie, Gustavo?
Piazza.
Okay.
I sent to. Hey, can you send the file to everybody, Ruben?
Yes. And guys, this kind of feedback I'm asking, I say that for me, it is important to get kind of feedback if possible. But if you don't want to send it to me because you don't want to be public, you can send it anonymously to Gustavo, and he can also send it as an extension. Because for me, guys, I think it's very important to see or to learn if what I was sharing with you has some feedback and how it was for you. What do you think? And I think for me, it's important to learn every now and then.
Thank you very much, Ruben.
You are welcome. It was a nice pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
I won't tell you guys that my friends in Argentina yesterday invited me to a talk like this, and they promised me a bottle of wine. So I hope when I visit Israel someday, I can also have a bottle of wine, even if I don't drink, but it's just to show.
You will get. יש לכם את המסמך, הוא ישמח אם אתם תורידו ותענו. תודה לכולם. להתראות.
להתראות.
Thank you.
Gracias.
תודה רבה.
בראבו.
שומע.
כל הכבוד לך על כל הארגון של ההרצאות האלה. זה מאוד.
תודה, שייקה.
מצטרף.
מנסה. שבוע הבא גם הולך להיות שבוע לדעתי מאוד מעניין, שתי מאמנים ברמה מאוד גבוהה. לדעתי, אחד תדבר על הגנה והשני ידבר על קבלה. אם יש לכם נושאים, רק תעדכנו אותי, אני בשמחה.
אחלה. תודה.
בכיף.
תודה, גוסטבו.
בכיף, תודה לך.